everybody. So if people want to come take a seat, we're going to be having speaking happening right now. So if those of you who are really interested in what we have to say want to come sit down or listen from the grass, that's cool too. So first I wanted to welcome all of you here. This was a labor of love for a lot of us, and it came together, so we're all really happy about that. I'm really excited about this event because MHCAN is really important to me. I found out about MHCAN through a friend who is Kale, actually, who just passed the stage. So thanks, Kale, for introducing me to MHCAN. MHCAN stands for Mental Health Client Action Network, and we're a peer-run drop-in center. We have group therapy, stuff like that. A lot of you know, some of you don't know who might be hearing me right now, but we're located on 1051 Cayuga Street, which is off of SoCal in Midtown. Anyway, so I have struggled with mental health for a long time, and it's always been something that I tried to just hide and not acknowledge, because there's so much stigma surrounding it in the professional world and the academic world and whatever other world that you are part of. But those were the major ones for me. But being at MHCAN has allowed me to see how to just embrace it and just accept it, which is really great for me. It's been super transformative. So in the recent past, MHCAN has been going through some kind of dramatic and disappointing things with the city. So we have, I guess, made a settlement. Not everyone is happy about it, but we're there at 1051 Cayuga, so that's the situation.
All right.
Oh gosh. Yeah, so thank you all again for coming, and I want to introduce Sarah Leonard, the Executive Director, who has something prepared for us all today. Thank you, Sarah.
Hello. Rachel, that was beautiful. Thank you. So I have two things to read. One is a very short essay from myself, and one is an essay by a gentleman named Bruce Levine. My essay is entitled, "I Am Not Supposed to Be Angry." I am not supposed to be angry. I am not supposed to complain. I am supposed to smile and be pleasant and not offend anyone, no matter what. I have spent the last few months being told over and over again not to speak and not to write. I wrote a post on my personal Facebook page that was sent to the city attorney. The city attorney said the city would not work with MHCAN if I continued to air my views. And at that time, I was told by the MHCAN attorney not to post on my own Facebook page and not to speak my mind. I was told to be silent. My name is Sarah Leonard. As a child, I was diagnosed with selective mutism. I would be silent for months at a time, not uttering a single word. When I was very small, they thought I was autistic. I was in special education classes growing up, and I didn't learn how to use a light switch until I was 9 years old. When I was 9, they did IQ tests and found I had a genius level IQ. They moved me from special ed to gifted, which was one of the worst days of my life. The gifted kids were mean, and the special ed kids were much nicer. I have been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia with psychotic tendencies, bipolar disorder, OCD, PTSD, and major depression. I consider myself a psychiatric survivor, not a psychiatric patient. I am the executive director of MHCAN, where we have many people who are compliant mental health patients who take their meds and are happy with that, and many people who are non-compliant, whom I like to think of as the rebel army. We believe in freedom for each individual, and many of us are revolutionaries and warriors. Recently, the board of directors of MHCAN agreed to a list of demands by Santa Cruz City that include: we can only be open 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. 4 days a week for 20 hours. We can only be open 3 nights out of 7 for 2 hours each night for meetings, like AA meetings. So 4 nights a week, our building is empty and shuttered and shut. We must have a security guard on site because we are perceived as dangerous, despite statistics that prove the opposite. We must not have food pantries for our members who are all very poor, or almost all very poor. Even though the church across the street has food pantries, even though there are many other food pantries in the area. We are not allowed to rent out our building or have program development other that we already have, unlike any other organization in town that I know of. I joined the board very recently. I joined the board of MHCAN a few weeks before this major vote. But I'm not allowed to vote on things that concern my job, so I had to abstain. But I spoke out against all of these decisions. I thought they were wrong. I think they are wrong. I believe they are wrong. I did not agree to these things, but I am charged with enforcing them, and I will, because I have children to feed, and cats and chickens and pigeons and geese and dogs, and 1 duck named Baby. If I refused, I would be fired and replaced. So I obey. I obey what I do believe is wrong. There is nothing more wrong than to not give food to hungry, poor people, the elderly, children, all members of MHCAN who need it. Yet we will no longer at this point have food pantries. Over these new rules, I have already had people literally spit in my face, believing no matter what I say that I endorse these changes. I did not endorse these changes. I hate, I loathe, I despise the surrender of our rights to these new rules. People are afraid of us. Those of us who are diagnosed different, those of us who do not conform to what the establishment wants us to be. Those of us who in general do not simply obey. We are medicated to control our behavior as a positive thing when we want it, and as a negative thing to stop us from being more powerful. MHCAN will obey every agreement with the City of Santa Cruz to the letter, and we will continue to fight for our rights, and for more than that, for a future society that is not run by people who want to hide us, change us, control us, or shut us up. That was my first And then I wanted to read an essay called Why Anti-Authoritarians Are Diagnosed as Mentally Ill, which is by a gentleman named Bruce Levine, PhD. It was written and posted online 2012. In my career as a psychologist, I have talked with hundreds of people previously diagnosed by other professionals with oppositional defiant disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, anxiety disorder, and other psychiatric illnesses. And I am struck by 2 points. 1, by how many of those diagnosed are essentially anti-authoritarian, and 2, by how those professionals who have diagnosed them are not. Anti-authoritarians question whether an authority is a legitimate one before taking that authority seriously. Evaluating the legitimacy of authorities includes assessing whether or not authorities actually know what they are talking about, are honest and care about those people who are said to respect their authority. And when anti-authoritarians assess an authority to be illegitimate, they challenge and resist that authority, sometimes aggressively, sometimes passive-aggressively, sometimes wisely, and sometimes not. Some activists lament how few anti-authoritarians there appear to be in the United States. One reason could be that many natural anti-authoritarians are now psychopathologized and medicated before they achieve political consciousness of society's most oppressive authorities. Why mental health professionals diagnose anti-authoritarians with mental illness? Gaining acceptance into graduate school or medical school and achieving a PhD and MD and becoming a psychologist or psychiatrist means jumping through many hoops, all of which require behavioral and attentional compliance to authority, even to those authorities that one lacks respect for. The selection and socialization of mental health professionals breeds out many anti-authoritarians. Having steered the higher education terrain for a decade of my life, I know that degrees and credentials are primarily badges of compliance. Those with extended schooling have lived for many years in a world where one routinely conforms to the demands of authority. Thus, for many PhDs and MDs, people different from them who reject this attentional and behavioral compliance appear to be from another world, a diagnosable one. I have found that most psychologists, psychiatrists, and mental health professionals are not only extraordinarily compliant with authorities, but unaware of the magnitude of their obedience. It has also become clear that the anti-authoritarianism of their patients creates enormous anxiety for these professionals, and their anxiety fuels diagnoses and treatments. And I myself have seen that to be true. In graduate school, I discovered that all it took to be labeled as having issues with authority was not to kiss up to a director of clinical training whose personality was a combination of Donald Trump, Newt Gingrich, and Howard Cosell. When I was told by some faculty that I had issues with authority, I had mixed feelings about being so labeled. On one hand, I found it amusing, because among the working class kids whom I had grown up with, I was considered relatively compliant. I had done my homework, studied, received good grades. However, while my new issues with authority label made me grin, it also concerned me about what kind of profession I was entering. Specifically, if someone such as myself was being labeled as issues with authority, what were they calling the kids I grew up with who paid attention to so many things they cared about, but didn't care enough about school to comply? Well, the answer soon became clear. Mental illness diagnoses. A 2009 Psychiatric Times article entitled ADHD and ODD Confronting the Challenges of Disruptive Behavior reports that disruptive disorders, which include attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, and ODD, oppositional defiant disorder, are the most common mental health problem of children and teenagers in the United States today. ADHD is defined by poor attention, distractibility, poor self-control, impulsivity, hyperactivity. ODD is defined as a pattern of negativistic, hostile, and defiant behavior without more severe violations of the basic rights of others that are seen in conduct disorder. And ODD symptoms include defies or refuses to comply with adult requests or rules, or often argues with adults. Psychologist Russell Barkley, one of the mainstream mental health's leading authorities on ADHD, says that those afflicted with ADHD have deficits in what he calls rule-governed behavior, as they are less responsive to rules of established authorities. ODD young people also have these so-called deficits in rule-governed behavior. It is extremely common for young people to have a dual diagnosis of ADHD and ODD. Do we really want to diagnose and medicate everyone with deficits in rule-governed behavior? Albert Einstein as a youth would likely have been diagnosed ADHD and maybe ODD as well. Albert did not pay attention to his teachers, failed his college entrance exams twice, had difficulty holding jobs. Einstein biographer said that his problems did not stem from attention deficits, but from his hatred of authoritarianism, Prussian discipline in school. Einstein was quoted as saying, "The teachers in elementary school were like sergeants, and in the gym they were like lieutenants." At age 13, he read Kant's Critique of Pure Reason. Clark tells us that Einstein refused to prepare himself for college as a rebellion against his father's unbearable path of a practical profession. After he did enter college, one professor told Einstein, "You have one fault. One can't tell you to do anything." The very characteristics of Einstein that upset authorities so much were exactly the ones that allowed him to excel. By today's standards, Saul Alinsky, the legendary organizer and author of Reveille for Radicals and Rules for Radicals, would certainly have been diagnosed with one or more disruptive disorders. Recalling his childhood, he said, "I never thought of walking on grass until I saw a sign saying, 'Keep off it.'" In an earlier dark age, many people with severe anxiety and or depression are also anti-authoritarian. Often a major pain of their lives that fuels anxiety and depression is fear that their contempt for illegitimate authorities will cause them to be financially and socially marginalized. But they fear that such compliance will cause them existential death. I have also spent a great deal of time with people who had at one time in their lives had thoughts and behaviors so bizarre they were extremely frightening for their families, themselves, and other people. Diagnosed with schizophrenia and other psychoses, fully recovered for many years, they lead productive lives. Among this population, I have not met one person who I would not consider a major anti-authoritarian. Not one. And I myself, reading this essay, concur. Once recovered, they have learned to channel their anti-authoritarianism into more constructive political ends, including reforming mental health treatment. Gosh darn it, I added that. Gosh darn it. And lastly, this is the last part. It has been my experience that many anti-authoritarians labeled with psychiatric diagnoses don't usually reject all authorities, simply those they've assessed to be illegitimate, which just happens to be a great deal of society's authorities today. Americans have been increasingly socialized to equate inattention, anger, anxiety, and immobilizing despair with a medical condition, and to seek medical treatment rather than political remedies. What better way to maintain the status quo than to view inattention, anger, anxiety, depression as biochemical problems of those who are mentally ill, rather than normal reactions to an increasingly authoritarian society? The reality is that depression is highly associated with societal and financial pains. In an earlier dark age, authoritarian monarchies partnered with authoritarian religious institutions. When the world exited from this dark age and entered the Enlightenment, there was a burst of energy. We are now in another dark age, only the institutions have changed. Americans desperately need anti-authoritarians to question, challenge, and resist new illegitimate authorities and regain confidence in their own common sense.
Thank you, Sarah. That's awesome. Thank you so much. At this time, we have some time for anyone who wanted to volunteer to speak, whether it's about mental health stigma, whether it's about your own mental health journey. Miss Helen Bradley, the beautiful Miss Helen Bradley. You got it.
I want everybody to know my name is Miss Helen Bradley for a change. I can stand tall. I can walk tall. I'm very grateful today and I'm very thankful today. I can put a smile on my face. I have friends today. That's one thing I do have today. I am a human being today.
Yeah.
You know, I feel free. I really feel free to walk wherever I want to walk, to talk, to express myself in a kind way. I thank MHCAN for being there. I've been going to MHCAN for 10 years. I'm 72 years old, and that's the reason I'm saying this is because just think, from 0 to 10 years ago, I didn't know who I was. But within that time, I found out, and I'm okay with it today. I'm really okay with my life today, that I'm bipolar. Ooh!
Right.
Thank you. And I mean that. I'm schizoaffective. Thank you. DRA. PTSD.
God bless you.
And I can do this. If you don't like what I am today. You know, what sugar?
Give me my medicine.
Wait a minute. I love that. I really love that. And I'm really okay with it. And I have friends. That's something that's really important to me. Because growing up, I'm the only girl out of 4 boys. And I only lived in 2 places my whole entire life. And that was 932 13th Avenue South. We lived there for 20 years in a 2-bedroom house. It was a house. Excuse me for laughing. Okay, I will recompose myself. Now I know what a house is. Because for 20 years, I thought that we lived in a house, but it was just a box. And it's okay, because it was happiness there. Then my mother moved us into a 15-room house, and we moved into a prompt neighborhood. Prompt neighborhood way back there, you know what I'm saying? But that was okay. The way I was raised, I didn't know about racism. I know that sounds crazy, but I didn't, because my mother and my father, my 4 brothers, and the neighborhood, even though I came from a black neighborhood, I love my pictures be taken there. I used to be real shy. I used to talk and all that. But, today I'm really okay with everything.
Nice.
Seriously, I had a lot of health problems.
Thanks to who?
Due to the fact,
Thanks to who?
the devil.
No.
It was the devil that made me drink like a fish, get up on the table. Then it was the devil that made me do it just a little bit. Now, I'm not going to tell no lies, I did a lot because it took all my money. A little bit of cocaine, and then I did a reefer thing, and sent me to the doctor. So I can be thankful today for my life. I have 27 years clean from alcohol. I have 15 years clean away from cocaine. I'm missing that word from my vocabulary. And I'm being real about that, And the marijuana thing, reefer thing, whatever you call it. They got so many names for that. I just hit it and missed it because it made my car go up in the air. And I thought about that and I said, well, my car, what sugar? Don't make me call you sugar 3 times. Because I'll have to come off this stage. What girl? I can't call your name right, Rosita.
No, you were doing the cheap kind.
What?
The cheap, you were doing the cheap kind of marijuana or coke or whatever.
I don't know nothing about marijuana. And that's a real thing. That's a real deal. I'm straight up about me. I don't know nothing about nothing. And I am the type of person that will ask a question. And I am the type of person that will walk up to you and ask you, did you say this? Did you say that? And I'm not the kind of person that will go around and talk about you. Because I don't have time for that. I come to the person and ask them. I try to be real about myself. But I want to say this about MHCAN because MHCAN really saved my life. And I'm being real about that. For its health-wise. I was real sick. Real sick. I was going to the hospital and I've died 5 times. I've crossed over, if you all know what that means. I'm alive right now. Then all of a sudden, this thing would hit me, and I call it an it. And Miss It or Mr. It, whatever you want to call it, hit me while I was at MHCAN. And thank God to Sarah Leonard. She rushed over to me. I remember that. I can remember some of it, but I can't remember all of it. I remember her kneeling down because I was laying down. And then the next thing I remember, I came to, I don't know how long I was gone. But anyway, I went to the ICU. And that was a horrible part of my life. I started having these things called it. They have named it 1,000 different things. I really don't know what I had. But due to the, what is it? TIA, they call it TIA. Yeah, that's it. I have that. Real bad. Oh, jeez. But anyway, MHCAN had a food pantry. And I changed my diet because after that, Sarah and the employees started helping me get the right food to keep me healthy. And I mean that. And over the period of a month and within a year's time, I'm not a diabetic no more. And I'm and I only have the thing it because I eat correctly today, thanks to MHCAN. And yeah, I'm like Sarah. I'm upset. I'm very upset, about it. I'm upset because they cut the veggies. I'm upset. And that's just the truth. And it's okay to be upset. It's not okay to tell me, oh, Helen, you can go over here and I get half of that. Oh, you can't. I don't like that. Stop and tell the truth. Lay it on the table. Don't have me scared. I don't play scared. I just don't play scared, you know. I got too old to be scared. I fear. I classify different words with different meanings. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm older now, you know. I have to look at things differently in my life, you know. And it's okay today. It's really okay. But I'm really not okay with what they have done to MHCAN. And that's just it. And that's just all. And if I have to, I will walk with a sign for my rights. MHCAN has helped me. Yeah, seriously, I'm real serious about what I'm saying. You know, and another thing MHCAN has helped. When we had that food giveaway, where I live, I have to compose myself because I have a syndrome. It's called broken heart syndrome. My neighbors, I live in just a little block of seniors, and MHCAN allowed me to have extra. And my neighbors got to the point where they were used to a loaf of bread, because some of my neighbors cannot get out. And since I'm the one that do a lot of walking and moving around, you know, and going and coming, thank God I got my health back. I asked them, what you need today? Do you need a loaf of bread, or do you need some vegetables or something, you know? And I was able to bring it to them. You know, it's sad. That's all I got to say. It's just really sad. And I play MHCAN, and I need some help down, please. Yeah. That's all. Thank you, Sugar. Wait.
Oh, of course. Whoa. Yeah. Good eye.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I can see them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Helen. If we could have a round of applause or snaps or whatever, but thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So the next person we're going to have speak is my fellow co-organizer, Kale.
Oh, yeah.
We'll go. Snap for Kale. Woohoo!
All right. Woo.
I have prepared nothing. But my whole life has led me to this moment. Okay.
Very well.
I'm concerned about here in Santa Cruz. We think of ourselves, a lot of us, as like, you know, progressive, a progressive community, I guess you could say. And I think that means a different thing to a lot of us. And it means something very particular to me. But when I go into the jail once a week, and I do poetry workshops in there, and I have the program coordinator at the jail telling me that this facility is now for holding people in the women's unit who are struggling with mental health issues and substance abuse issues. To me, that's, now we're talking about that we're explicitly criminalizing people that need resources and support around mental health. And I don't really understand what the heck, how it's come to this. We're here in Santa Cruz. Not that I've ever been, like, you know, fooled by the veil of Santa Cruz. Like, I've seen the problems. I was a homeless teenager here in Santa Cruz. So I understand that there are a lack of resources for people here. But to explicitly say that we're criminalizing folks that need support is a whole new level of fascism that I was not aware of. I thought we were moving in the direction where, like, everything, all this, we're using special language, like, the word super predator, which really means we're going to criminalize black men, like that. We're moving away from explicit language to more language with undertones, but with the whole mental health thing, it's like, okay, so we're doing it explicitly now. I understand that this is happening, and I don't understand how even with that, they're going to continue to cut the most meaningful resources that exist in this city. And to me, MHCAN is the most meaningful resource around mental health because so many people who come to MHCAN for resources have been traumatized by the institutionalization that occurs for folks who need support around mental health. And the criminalization that occurs for folks who need support around mental health. So the reason that MHCAN, I think of it as kind of like the final frontier around mental health. For the reason that after folks have already been traumatized by all these other systems, they know that they can come to MHCAN and feel safe, and no one's going to try to stick them in a box. Nobody's going to try to lock them away. Nobody's going to tie the wrists behind them. Nobody's going to try to put a spit hood on them. Nobody's going to call the cops on them. You could just go there and be yourself. And if your behaviors are problematic, people are going to work with you around that the best they can. And that's transformative. That's fucking beautiful. Sorry.
Hell yeah!
So that's why I love MHCAN. I don't really spend very much time there lately, or like, I go whenever I can because I love being there. I love the energy. I love the people. I'm just like really busy. And so what I can do is this like diagonal organization thing where I can try to like funnel resources out of different institutions like the university or Cabrillo or whatever to try to like host these things so that we can have these conversations and like talk about it with folks that don't even maybe have never heard of MHCAN. And so I think like kind of from an outsider perspective, we could use more people on the outside who really care and who really want to pull resources together and like talk about these issues and actually make something happen, like some sort of movement away from the criminalization of folks who need support. So let's move away from that. Let's move towards holding each other, keeping each other up, doing each other favors when we can here and there, Let's support each other. And let's support MHCAN. I love MHCAN. Thank you so much, MHCAN. I love you.
Thank you, Cal! Woohoo! That was awesome. So, up next, one of the founders of MHCAN, James. Him and I are both from the East Coast. Shout out to the East Coast. Woohoo! We speak properly. Here we go, James, take it away. Woohoo!
So, my name is James, and I'm highly qualified because I'm a criminal. Okay. I'm a drug addict, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a mental case, and then I got even better. At year 15 being sober, I got my skull split open, so I have a traumatic brain injury. I am the man. And, I was around MHCAN when it was in another location. And then I moved to the state of Washington. I came back here where MHCAN is now. And the only reason I joined the board, okay, again, Belfast Island to Boston. Your mother is CEO of the house. You don't mess with mom. And she put down something called service. To be of service to your fellow man. Okay? And all of a sudden what I found out is Sarah works her butt off. Anyone that knows her, she gives 120%. Okay? But guess what? I found out that people on the board were planning to 86 her. It's Boston for get rid of them. So I joined the board. Oh my God. But we got rid of some of the evil ones, and she's still here. And it's about, the reason she is, to use a very psychological term, which I'm trained in, she's the cat's ass. That's Boston compliment. That's a Boston compliment, okay? So please take it for what it's worth, okay? Some things can't change about me. I've lived a lot of different places, and I've been to a lot of places. But what's great about MHCAN is that old building, we helped start a group, me and this other person, called Mood Matters. Because what if you have drug and alcohol here, and you got mental illness here? You need both. So if you go to AA, you just deal with alcohol. I learned how to box, Irish Catholic, okay? Try boxing with one hand, just drug and alcohol. No mental illness, one hand. Try boxing with one hand. Or try boxing with the other hand, just mental illness. No, you need both hands. And that's why dual diagnostic works. And I started a new group called Total Assets. Why? Because if we don't deal with what goes on in your head, we can't solve the problem. Because before I get angry or depressed or hateful or what have you, all those emotions, they all call those emotions bad. I have a thought. And someone said this, and I'm going to back up what you were saying, is I'm trained in psychology, but I've worked in places like Cambodia, Vietnam, so great Buddhists are very smart people. So a great Buddhist called Trungpa Rinpoche, he says, you Americans, you call these emotions like anger, fear. Oh, you call them bad emotions. I call it simply being human. And that's it. We're just human beings. And we have to find the ways to accept it and like ourselves for who we are. And guess what? I told you all things that's wrong with me. Last Thursday, October 5th, I celebrated 36 years. Now, so when I go to AA meetings, I say, don't I look and sound pretty good for a mentally ill head case? So we're here for a reason, to support each other. And so the message I'm trying to pass on is there's nothing wrong with you. You're human. And someone said this earlier, if you have an emotion like anger or fear or something, you don't have to act out of it. There's nothing wrong with you for being angry. There's nothing wrong with you for being afraid. The key is not to act or speak out of it.
Negatively.
So with my mania, I have so many thoughts. I go with all these thoughts of why they're a sick puppy, and at least I write them down. There's 10 facts for why you're wrong. But I don't act to speak out of it. I like myself better. I feel better about myself. And again, Trungpa Rinpoche, the reason I use this book in a therapy session is it's part of the human condition. It's not good, it's not bad, it's not right, it's not wrong. And that's a wonderful thing. And we're here for a reason. Here's the other thing. I was once a stockbroker for EF Hutton, so I know all about regulations. Well, guess what? MHCAN is a true 5013C, which means non-profit only, to serve those in need. Nowadays, people have a non-profit status and they have a capitalistic section. When I was with EF Hutton, I was a capitalist. I had a Porsche 930 Turbo Carrera. But that was that, This is now. And there's another reason. Sarah and everyone here that comes up and helps out MHCAN is amazing. And that's what we're here for. So anyone that's depressed, welcome to the club. It's not good or bad. Yeah, it's like, okay, so I'm depressed today, I'll tell you with a good joke, right? You'll love this one. I got so depressed. Jimi Hendrix wrote, manic depression is a frustrating mess. I like it better than bipolar. Jimi Hendrix, a great singer. So I got so depressed one day. I got so depressed that the idea of suicide, I'd have to cheer up to become suicidal. I was so depressed because I didn't see the point of that. I call it the pointicidal blues. And that's another skill we have here. We can laugh at things, a sense of humor. We can accept what we have and have a sense of humor. And so what I'd say is anyone that isn't part of MHCAN, go out and spread the word that King James said, "We are the cat's ass," and you don't argue with the king. I'm still working on being humble. I don't have that one down yet. But, you know, this is to all of you right here and now, and this is to Sarah, the staff, and all the people that are putting this service and hard work in, because on the AA medallion, people have it butt backwards. There's a triangle. They put recovery first. Wrong. Service is first. Out of service comes unity, and out of that comes recovery. So if you're of service, I don't want my name James attached to anything. I'm just there to serve others. And when I see someone else being successful or happy, it makes my day. And I'll leave you with this last thing. One of my clients, again, I'm trained family therapy, so you don't have to be an alcoholic or drug addict, but one person was. And he's doing his homework, and he said, "James, you had me look at it in the big book. They say it's all in the 164 pages. Well, guess what, James? There were two people that formed AA. One was Bill Wilson, one was Dr. Bob. Guess what? Dr. Bob's story begins on page 171. So how can it only be in 164 pages? And so that way you find ways to go against dumbness, or what I call pseudo-intellectual morons. So look at it in a positive way. It's a challenge to make things better, and we're out here for ourselves, and there's nothing wrong with you. It's part of your human condition. And with mania, I can have more thoughts. If you're schizophrenic, you can have more people talk to you. So just don't listen to the bad ones. Try to use it. Someone's laughing. So thank you, and just keep on coming back, and we're all here for the cause, so keep your sense of humor and keep positive. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Woohoo! I'm so glad everyone is feeling like they want to share. That's awesome. Somebody else wants to share? Philip? Philip, do you want to come up? Philip is going to say a little bit about who he is and introduce himself.
Hello, my name's Philip. I used to do this program years in cans, and it's a good thing because I want to help more people, because I want to help a lot more people, because I saw all these people. I saw all of the chairs. I was like, I want to come by here and I want to check it out, because this is my thing, what I have to do. People want help. I want to help people out more, because I want to have this stuff I have to do. And my second thing is, Sarah, I've been knowing Sarah for a long time, and I know everybody, because I wanna be in this community. I wanna help. And I met her like a month ago, because I wanna join this program, because I wanna know about more stuff, because this is my thing, because I'm gonna be homeless here 30 days, because our place is gonna be a dim, and I'm gonna be on the streets. Seriously, this is not. I wanna go somewhere and cry, because I don't wanna be homeless, because a lot of people are telling me it's like, you're not a good person, or you're not a nice person. Why you want to live somewhere in Santa Cruz? It's crazy, and I can't have people. I need help. I need people to support me, because it's like I need somebody to support me, because I need people to help me find a good place to live, because I don't want to be on the streets. My mom's over there, it's like her 60 years old. I'm worried about her, because her might have a heart attack. And it's rough for me and my family. I need somebody to support me how I am, and don't let people lie to me. People lies and tells me I'm not a good person because I want to be on the streets. And it's like, it's terrible. That's why every time I see me walking around or something like that, that means I want to go somewhere and cry, because it's not possible. I need somebody to help me import me and find a good place in Santa Cruz. I need somebody be my friend, be ever my friend and help me out. Because I got kicked out in the garden one time. It's like, oh, you don't supposed to be here, or you're not supposed to be here. And I need somebody to help me. This seriously, people, I need help. Thank you guys very much. Enjoy your guys' self, and I enjoy myself. And hope I have somebody talk to me after.
Thank you so much, Philip, for sharing. I'm really glad that you happened to stumble across here. I'm really glad. I think you were supposed to be here, and I really appreciate you sharing. Oh my God, you're gonna make me cry. But please come by, and we will extend all the support we have to you, okay? Yeah, I hope to see you there. Yeah, we have somebody who works, we have an outreach worker who helps people find support for housing and stuff like that. We're open, again, if anybody doesn't know our hours, we're open from 9 to 2, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So come by, and we hope to see you there. We are always looking for new faces, for returning faces, and we'll get you the address, okay? So thank you so much. I'm so glad everybody came at this time. Does anybody else want to speak? Do you want to speak? Yeah. What's your name? Brandon. Welcome to the stage.
Crap, let's see. Hi, my name is Brandon Wampel. I have ADHD. Some of you see me, some people don't see me. I've been in MHCAN in this area for, to tell you the truth, I don't know how old I am because I'm so fast. I think I'm 13 today. I live at Rose Acres, and most of my time I'm either reading, studying, or helping out people. ADHD for me is a lot of things. I think everyone is similar, but everyone is different. I can pick apart an atom in about 20 minutes. I go to school, I live at home, and I go to MHCAN. So people, shapes, and things are a blur. I have this friend I met, and he was dying. See, I'm from Los Angeles, so I have an accent, if you know what I mean. I came up here and I could actually breathe, but I couldn't see anything because I'm ADHD. So what I'm saying is that there's a lot of original people here, and the community, compared to what I grew up in, isn't very clear. So I try to use my power, ADHD, hyperactivity, and not really paying attention to help people out every day. So I don't have an office anymore. I quit. No, I didn't quit. I moved offices, and I hope that this city continues to grow as much as we can. That's pretty much all I want to say.
Thank you, Brandon. Yeah, if anyone else wants to speak, this is time for people who want to volunteer to speak. Robert is coming to the stage. Welcome, Robert, to the stage. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. So I'm Robert, and I work with a group called HUF, Homeless United for Friendship and Freedom. We've often had folks from MHCAN come in. In the last few years, there's been a lot of concern about the city and perhaps the county and the neighborhood's attacks on MHCAN and their restrictions against the organization. I've also been concerned, and this is not as easy a subject to talk about in a gathering like this, because I've been critical sometimes of the MHCAN leadership. But I'm critical often of leadership of different organizations because I believe people have to stand up for themselves like you are here at this Speak Out and rise up and speak about what your real concerns are. MHCAN was surveilled by police and had to accept severe restrictions on the number of people it can take per day, on its food pantry, on a security guard. I hate to see MHCAN going the way of what I call the Homeless Lack of Services Center out at Coral Street, which is now got a fence around it, ID cards required, which is not the case at MHCAN as far as I know. But there is this tendency in our society to view homeless people and people with disabilities and people who have mental health diagnoses as, if not threatening, a nuisance. And this kind of devaluing of people is something that often agencies that are set up to serve them, social service agencies, feel they have to go along with in some way in order to get funding. This is very dangerous for a lot of us. And it's something that Huff has been fighting, and I believe MHCAN in its own way, at least some folks in MHCAN have been fighting. And I hope that that struggle continues. I hate to think that that's going to have to wait a year before there'll be a public hearing on this issue. I hate to think that you're going to be restricted to 50 a day and that you're going to have restrictions on the kind of gatherings you can have. I think frankly, to me, it's an obscenity. And I hate to see that happening. And when I see, frankly, the board of directors meeting behind closed doors to agree to those conditions, I get upset and concerned. I don't know everything that goes on there. I can't speak of it. And some of the people who would like to talk about it haven't been able to speak about it because they've been told by their attorney or by the board that they have to keep a closed mouth. I believe we need the community to be supportive, but for the community to be supportive, they need to know what the facts are. And so I'm still looking for those facts. I write about it, and I do a radio broadcast twice a week on this issue. I'll leave a few cards at the Food Not Bombs table if people are interested. And I want to wish you all well and say hang in there, and that's what I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robert. I have to say, I'm really happy with the way that this event has come together. There's a lot of people here, a lot of you I don't recognize, which makes me really happy, because that means that means that, you know, the word spread enough, or you heard what was going on and you were curious. So thank you again to every single person who's here right now. It means a lot, like more than you know. It means so much. Because like I said before, when I had kicked this off, like this was a labor of love. Like this was like, I have ADD too, so that's really distracting. Anyway,
we're all gonna get it.
I'm self-diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure I'm spot on with that. Anyway. I don't remember what I was talking about. I was thanking everybody and saying that this was a labor of love. Oh yeah, okay. So I really mean that. Like me and the other co-organizers, like we were all going through some really real hard life stuff. And somehow we still made this happen. So I just I feel drawn to give myself a shout out, and Kale and Taylor, thank you so much, both of you. Because I couldn't have done this by myself. So, where are y'all? Can you wave a hand or something?
They left probably.
They're left.
Oh my God. Okay.
Don't worry, I'm still here.
Well, tell them I gave them a shout out, okay? Anyway.
I had their jacket on. I had someone's jacket on.
Yeah.
Here they are.
Does anybody else want to speak at this time? Yeah, come on up to the stage.
We might as well all speak.
Hello.
This is Mia, everybody.
Hi, my name is Mia, and as you can tell, I'm wearing the shirt right now, and there's a reason why I'm actually wearing it. Not just because I wanted to wear it, but because I wanted to, as this word may be new to you, if not, you get to hear it from my perspective. Advocacy is what I'm actually learning right now, and through my coordinator, who's actually here as well as my advocacies. Some of my classmates are here, and we are peers, and we get to advocate for ourselves. And advocacy is not only where I get to advocate for myself, but I get to advocate for the community, and that also is MHCAN, of course. And I wanted to give a shout out to MHCAN because I remember the very first day I came to MHCAN, I think I met Sarah Leonard, and it was 2015, right after I had gone out of the psychiatric ward, and I was diagnosed with an eating disorder back then, but I've overcome it now, so that's a huge thing. But thanks. I remember meeting Sarah, and she just welcomed me with arms open wide, and it was like I was just so welcomed and filled with like so much respect, knowing that like, oh my gosh, there's a community here in Santa Cruz that isn't just like fun and games and doesn't just think that mental, whatever you want to call it, mental health issues or problems is not just an issue that's like forgotten, but is also remembered too. And when I say remembered, I mean in the sense of like we get to remember our history, and I'm learning that in Sociology 2 class, and I don't know if my professor's here, but Sadie Reynolds, wherever she's at, and if she's not here right now, I wanted to give thanks to her too, because she's helping me learn that in our society, mental illness or health issues was disregarded by a lot of people, and it's really nice to know that there's a place like MHCAN to go to, or even just like, and I was here earlier for the event today, and I actually, as some of you guys know, I actually left to go help out at an event hosted by MHCAN, but is part of the Santa Cruz Mental Health County itself, and the coordinators are here, and they help us coordinate and facilitate, and I've been a helper too, and as well as everybody else who's in that group as well, and they know who they are, and I'm really thankful for the peers at MHCAN and the people who get to provide that place for us as mental health clients through Santa Cruz County, and I just wanted to say thanks, and thanks for supporting myself and everybody here, and even in my class as well, and thank you so much just for being open to willing to share your stories as well. Thank you.
Somebody else had their hand raised?
Thank you for sharing. It means a lot. I thought I had seen another hand up before. Did you want to come up and speak now?
You're up for it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And if anyone else wants to speak, just think about it right now, because we're going to have a couple more slots, and then we're going to do a raffle drawing. So, if you want an extra raffle ticket, they're $1. You can buy them over there where the purple balloons are. This is Linda. Welcome, Linda, to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, MHCAN. It's good to see you all out here, even though I'm allergic to the sun. And we all probably have to be careful these days. I just want to share a tiny slice of philosophy, and I imagine most of you who are actively involved in MHCAN won't find anything new here. But some of the words are worth hearing more. What I want to say is that if you got the idea of who Americans are and who Santa Cruzans are locally from reading the commercial media, or more famously the fake news, then you're going to find out from how we get all of us get translated through that medium, that the only thing Americans are more afraid of right now than people with mental illness are homeless people with mental illness. And so I don't usually come out and share myself out in public because I have a lot of years of recognition as a homeless activist and advocate, and I want people to listen to me a little. You know, we have to get through to each other or it keeps on being bombs and empire. And there are alternatives, and a client action network is one, and food instead of investing in bombs and corporations is one. There are alternatives that are living that we need to pay attention to and support with our voices if we have no other way to do it, and share this with people we don't know as well whom we've met, and share this however we can manage. I mean, Keith McHenry gave us an inspiration by hanging pieces of reality on the post office fence when it was put up to create a class boundary between ordinary people that are allowed to walk up the marble steps and the rest of us who are expected to stay on the curb if we don't have plastic in our pockets or we don't have our own pocket. And for some of us, let's say this is spiritual. We don't have to say mental health or mental dis-ease. Let's say we have spiritual feelings and beliefs and concerns and ways of being, and we want those to be here with us and with our families and the people we take care of. And we can do that. And, you know, if you get out there too far ahead of your friends, they'll put a label on you, but sometimes you can live it down or turn it into a whole or kind of another psychic thing we have to overcome or put to rest, or turn creatively into something different. Anyway, I just got up here to say that Thursday mornings, if you're homeless, or if you're poor, or if you're too isolated, you can get coffee free outside the library between 9 and 10. And across the street at the Greek temple, they have sandwiches and things they want to give you, apples and shampoo, on Wednesday morning till noon. And I was told by these wonderful two ladies this morning, they're there every Wednesday morning for pedestrians and people that need to find them till noon, even if they have to be on the porch because of rain. You don't hear that. And as far as I'm concerned, people taking their own self, that's not the church, it's these same two ladies who put this together themselves. And putting it where it can be found, bringing it into the public, that's how we build community. And peanut butter and jelly can go a long, long way. I used to work for and help build something called Welfare Parents Support Group. And that was our organizing model, is to have parties in San Lorenzo Park, to invite everyone there who was homeless, which at that time meant mostly men. That's less true now. It's pretty much everyone in terms of genders and colors, old and young. Everyone's homeless, and more of us are going to be there because none of the solutions that we're voting and paying people to take care of for us are going to work. The idea, this came up this morning, I went to the Huff meeting, the idea that affordable housing isn't affordable for anyone that's already poor here, perhaps in California, is something that is so absurd that even if you're housed and you like paying taxes, you're going to hear the contradiction. So I want to encourage us who may have less, because we have to deal with things like going over to the county every other week to talk to someone who's not listening, in order not to lose our support system, or whatever it is we have to do because we're perceived differently, not because we are, I don't believe. Seldom it's because we're different. It's because we're perceived differently and kept differentiated in people's minds. And we can make groups just as vital as what my peers used to call straights can. And there are at least 3 examples of that kind of becoming any kind of group, but not staying indoors and hiding, sitting here with us. So I got excited when I got here. And I don't really have much more to say except it's getting much worse outside. When I started this 39 years ago, there were showers in the harbor, couches at UCSC. Almost every neighborhood would tolerate a certain amount of somebody's on the street if you didn't poop on their porch, right? I said it. I said the word I wasn't going to say. Sorry, folks. Anyway, we need potties. We need congregating spaces. We need not to allow ourselves to be silenced. And if people like you and me can do little things like that, and it happens, we're doing it for everyone else who don't even know their American lifestyle is being threatened or don't want to face it out of fear. I think I said more than I meant to.
All right, Linda.
Thank you, Linda, for sharing. Next I have Keith coming to the stage from Food Not Bombs.
I forgot to say I have
Well, I was so excited to hear that we're having a We Love MHCAN Day because it's been heartbreaking to see the official attacks against what is probably the most, from people living on the streets and seeing personally and directly what goes on at MHCAN, the most effective program in the entire city and county, helping people that live on the streets or people who are dealing with mental health issues. It's really the most valuable asset. And you know, some of the people that are trying to stop Food Not Bombs are also very active in the effort to curtail activities at MHCAN. And it really comes to what Linda was just saying, and Robert, this idea, and probably many people before I came back from physical therapy, have been saying, which is this idea of the other. And for me right now, I'm becoming increasingly more concerned about this idea that there is another. And of course, you know, Donald Trump makes that really pretty clear, that there's a threat to anybody that's considered the other. And the poster that I have been handing out says, you know, first they came for the homeless, and part of the whole ideology that how the Holocaust was able to happen in Germany was that people from mental health facilities and people living on the streets were deemed were taken off for their own good, and we've seen that in the last couple of weeks where people were removed from the streets for their own good because of a impending hurricane, and then separated from the newly homeless to the homeless before the hurricane, or homeless before the fires. There'll be a homeless before the fire community and a people made homeless by the fire community. And then 6 months from now, the people that lost their homes in the fires will become the people that are the homeless before the next catastrophe. And they'll be like in Florida, being handed out yellow armbands so that they can be identified as a pre-hurricane, pre-fire, pre-earthquake, unhoused individual. But every one of those people became unhoused for really much the same reasons. You know, it's very dramatic the first couple of days to watch everybody's house burn down. But people are losing their houses silently day in and day out. And I wrote an article that was published in a couple of street papers about how mortified I was that I met 6 people in May of this year who had come to me saying that they were homeless for the first time ever, and where was services, and you know, some people assumed that there was a shelter for everybody to go to, and then we'd give them the phone number and send them to that shelter. All 6 of these people thought that. A number of the people, you know, I went over the options that existed, and there was a couple of women who are frightened about being sexually harassed on the streets, which sadly women that live on the streets know this is all to be all too true. And so, you know, we have a program, one of the only funded programs in the city, turns out to be a bus home. So I go to my friend, and you know, she comes here. I've only been homeless one day. What do I do? I've already been like attacked, and so we went over the options. She'd already was turned away from everything, and I said, "What about a bus ticket home?" And she goes, "A bus ticket home? I was born here. That's not going to help me any. Like, get a bus to go up and down, go to the metro stop from, you know, the post office." What, you know, that's like the kinds of ideas that people that are unfamiliar with what it's like to be unhoused really go through.
So I think we are under attack, and it's more important than ever. So I've been reading about the history of dehumanizing language that we are hearing, particularly in the Sentinel and in City Council and in official documents and police statements. One of the most common ones, of course, that is used today is called transient. And it's shocking how many people have lived here most, if not all of their life, and they're called transient. And there's actually really clear definition in the Webster Dictionary about it, where the term transient comes from. And it's obviously somebody that's just passing through. That they're the other. They came from the other village. They came from someplace else. They're not one of us. And it's a really core aspect of this dehumanization is to erase the individuality, to erase the fact that really, now that I have this back injury, how many people who have been coming to Food Not Bombs, going to MHCAN, come to me and said, wow, I live on the streets because in one case, a person was injured working a construction job, and wind blew a sheet of plywood out, away from him, and it wrenched his back, and he ended up becoming disabled and living on the streets. Another lifting a heavy refrigerator, working for Sears. Another living on the streets because his back is injured from falling auto truck parts, fixing vehicles for AT&T. These are the people living on our streets are the workers, the people that made our country, that fought in the wars. They have all individual lives. To be putting us into these categories that were somehow wrong. And so, particularly the story that I've been moved by ever since I was in kindergarten, when I saw a black and white movie about this organization called the White Rose in Germany. And they had organized, it was a brother and sister and several of their friends had found out from the brother and sister's mother, who was a mental health professional, I believe in Nuremberg, but maybe Munich, I forget which city. She goes to the family and says, look at, something, we're losing all of our mental health patients. And something's going on here that's just not right. And it turned out what was happening was that they were being removed from the mental health facilities and be given a black triangle that was sewed onto a uniform, a prison uniform, and then they were sent to work in facilities. And that this kind of thing must be stopped. We cannot allow this kind of thing this other, to be saying the other. That mother, because they were the link between the mainstream community and the mental health, to hide the first wave of the Holocaust was to eliminate Sophie's mother and other people working in the mental health community, because they were the bridge between those that have been called the other and dehumanized and made okay to disappear. And so, that was the first wave of attack. And when you have a national figure like Trump talking about the other, you have Nazis actually marching in our streets. You have people celebrating the Confederacy, celebrating the Ku Klux Klan. And then you have local officials, and see, this is where our local officials, you read this often in the Sentinel, in the letters to the editor, in editorials, that how outrageous it is that Keith McHenry is saying this dehumanization language that we're using is somehow has any connection between Nazi Germany and now. It absolutely does. The very good Germans that sit on the city council here in Santa Cruz, or in the city on the board of supervisors in Santa Cruz, or just like the other very good Germans sitting on city hall, city councils and as mayors and as citizen organizations like Take Back Santa Cruz and all this whole system of the other. And we have to fight that. We are not the other. We are people that have made this country. And we need to stand up for our rights, speak loudly and clearly that we deserve the same rights as everybody else. And it's a dangerous time, and we must resist. Otherwise, as my poster says, first they came for the homeless, and no one was there to speak out. And we already know that there's attacks on people from across the borders, and attacks for people that have different faiths. And but the first people who it's okay to dehumanize are the people that are suffering, living on the streets, suffering with mental health issues. That's the first other that Hitler and many other tyrants have focused on in dictatorial countries. And so this is like so important to publicly say that we are not the other. We love MHCAN. This is frontline defense against fascism. It's something where we as a family, as people who have lived in this community together, who care about one another, who know that we are people from here. We're not the other. We're not the transients. We're not some other something around aliens or whatever the many, many terms that are used. We're musicians, we're poets, we're writers, we're construction workers, we're talented plumbers, electricians. We are the people that make America great. Not great again, but as great as we always have been, and we need to stop allowing this dehumanization to go on. And the language around attacking MHCAN is specifically the same language and ideology and logic of fascism that my friends that survived the Holocaust talk about witnessing again. Many of the anti-homeless laws, the quality of life crimes, are right out of Himmler's playbook from the time of Nazi Germany. We have to face up to the fact of what we are facing. And that I worry. I don't see somebody at Food Not Bombs for like a week or two, and I can't find their mugshot on the web. I'm like, whoa, are we starting to actually have our people disappeared? It sends a chill down my spine. And that's not because my spine's always chilled, but it just adds to it. And you know, I hate to be such a downer, but you know, it's time for us to rise up. And I'm at some point I want to start a campaign of black triangles. And you might have been seeing the triangles sometimes on the fence. I mean, the post office fence. What could be more? I mean, Trump talks about a wall, and our liberal city puts up a fence around a historic post office. The woman who painted the murals inside died penniless in San Jose. Yeah, so we can put a fence around this historic building and have placards hailing this amazing artist from the Great Depression and say, well, of course she died penniless and you know, she apparently didn't die on the streets, but nearly died on the streets in San Jose. And that's, you know, so we need a fence to protect our building from ourselves. It doesn't make any sense. Thank you very much, and I support MHCAN all the way, and I hope that, you know, I feel terrible that there was an issue around the food. I think one of the most therapeutic things ever was to see people who don't have a kitchen, preparing their own egg sandwich or whatever they were doing. It was so beautiful. That's a type of therapy that you just can't get anyplace else. And for people like Janet Fardet and for, Rochelle and David and Cynthia Matthews and them to go after people for simply trying to maintain their own humanity is just really outrageous, and those people should be called out for the fascists that they actually are. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. So I actually want to say a couple more things. I want to address some of the demands that the city asked of us, and Sarah touched on these. Woohoo! They wanted every single person, including staff and members, and there's actually a lot of overlap in staff and member. Anyway, they wanted every single person to sign something that said, "I'm aware it is illegal to urinate and defecate on people's property or on public property," or whatever it was. Just let that sink in. You want to go to a peer-run drop-in center. You're taking a step for yourself, saying, this is a place that I think is a safe place that I can go watch TV, not be criminalized while I'm trying to relax or have a place to be, where I'm trying to go to a group therapy session, while I'm trying to go use a computer, use a kitchen. And they want you to sign before you can receive whatever service that you're going to receive, that you had the strength that day to go receive. They're saying, okay, well, you need to first acknowledge that you're not going to pee or poop on someone's property. Really? Just think about that. Imagine going to a church or a place of worship and they say, before you can come in and receive whatever you are looking to receive, you need to sign a piece of paper that says, you will not do X, Y, and Z. What is that? We have 8 toilets at MHCAN. If somebody needs to use the bathroom at MHCAN, they walk inside and use the bathroom. Like, seriously. That is just so, that is like, how do you dehumanize someone?
Yes.
We have bathrooms at MHCAN.
We have 8.
We have 8 toilets at MHCAN. Yes. So if there's any question, yeah, they put it twice in the Sentinel, 2 different articles about MHCAN, that we are doing that on other people's property, defecating or urinating or whatever it is, with no evidence, with no proof, twice in the Sentinel. What they're trying to like animalize, right? Like, I don't know if that's a word, but now it's a word, right? They're trying to make us into animals. Like, that is disgusting. I just want everyone to think about that, like, because I'm still wrapping my head around all the implications and all the dehumanization of that.
Not okay.
Exactly, it's not okay.
Okay.
And so that demand we didn't have to do, right? Oh wow, what a great thing. They did the bare minimum and let go of something like that, right? So we didn't have to sign those papers, even though that was one of their original demands. But one of the other ones was a security guard on site, which I personally was really upset by. Yeah, let me just say I'm ready to fight, okay? And I'm really sad that because of the way it was dealt with, that we didn't even get to fight because of the settlement that happened. And so that voice was taken away from us. So I just want to make that very clear, that decisions were made that took away a lot of people's voices. Having a security guard there will, I believe, only be a catalyst in inciting violence. That's the only thing that I believe it's for. And I believe that the city and possibly the neighborhood, or honestly, not the whole neighborhood, but just there's some special interests creeping in the neighborhood. But anyway, so I believe that it was just a way to make us seem scarier. Because if you have a security guard outside of a place, you wonder why. Why is there a security guard there, right? The only way I can think of it is, well, you know what? The security guard better be there to protect us. Even though I don't believe that in the bottom of my heart, I hope that at the end of the day, that's what it can be. Because I don't see any other reason for a security guard. Like, we need protection more than like the random neighborhood people who aren't being scapegoated. So yeah, I just wanted to address those because that was something really close to my heart that I am still thinking about and still upset about. So thank you all for listening. Does anybody, so yeah, at this time, does anybody have any questions or have anything they want to clarify or say? Sherry? Let me bring this.
Anyway, I just went through 3 years of being homeless, and without MHCAN, I'd be dead. I wouldn't be here talking right now. MHCAN saved my life. MHCAN let me sleep. It fed me. It let me cook. It gave me, I could do my laundry. When I'd get there, I'd be welcomed by friends. People would say hi, hi, hi. Whatever mood I was in, people would greet me. I'd be crabby, mean, hateful, bitch, whatever. And people would go, hey, how are you? And I really love that about MHCAN. You can come there in any mood you want. And people still love us. We still love each other. It's a very special group of people. It's too bad that we're socially mal-accepted by these jackasses called normal people. Because they don't have our high intelligence, so what do they know? But anyway, I'm really angry with the county for taking away our food. The city, and I'm really angry for we're always getting picked on and scrapped at for whatever reason, and we already have a bunch of problems in our own mind. We don't need any extra trouble. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sherry. Here's Philip.
So are we angry enough for the angry squad?
I need to ask you guys a question. I want to ask everybody a question, all the staff here. I want to ask, can my landlord, it says it's going to kick us out, can that be a law? He have to pay the places for us and trying to find a place because the city is going to dim our place. I need somebody to help me do that because I don't appreciate what is going on in the city. Because every time I remember that, because I need a lot of support. Okay, one thing. My mom is only 60 right now. Oh, 50? Because that's why I asked that question, because I want to let people know that. And then one more question, and then after that, they're going to have the rifle tickets. On the 13th, I'm going to be helping out here, and the 20th, and the 27th, and the 28th. They're going to have a big event. It's going on in the Michael Jackson Driller. And I'm just going to be out here, and you guys are welcome to come and help. It's on the 13th, and the 20th, and the 27th, and the 28th. Thank you guys very much. I love you guys. Please support me very much, and I love all you guys here today. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. So if anybody would like to go get an extra, okay. If anybody would like to go get an extra raffle ticket, if you're able to donate for your extra raffle ticket, that would be amazing. And we're taking whatever donations that people can afford to give. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, sounds good. So Miss Helen would like to say something.
I would like to say that everyone that have a T-shirt today, I do a class, not a class, a group on Tuesday from 12 to 1. It's called AANA/Anonymous on Tuesday from 12 to 1. Please wear your T-shirts if you decide to come. It's going to be a T-shirt day.
Miss Helen does AANA, if anybody didn't hear, Tuesday from 12 to 1 at MHCAN. Please, if you have a t-shirt and you come to her class, wear it. That would be an awesome show of visual solidarity. Thank you, Miss Helen.
Thank you.
So we're getting ready to do the raffle tickets. This stand is a little wonky. Sorry, everybody. It's really distracting. So yeah, if anybody... Over there, there's some purple balloons at the end of the table. If anybody wants to get a last-minute raffle ticket, you can go ahead. We'll give it a few minutes over there and get ourselves situated with the raffle, okay? Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.